It's week 16 in the NFL, and that means the fantasy football championship is upon us. So, who are the quarterbacks that you should start to help you win your league? Well, SI's fantasy analyst Michael Fabiano is here with that insight. Fabs, this week we're playing for a trophy. So, who are the quarterbacks fantasy managers should start?
Right, you like the hat? It's Santa Fabs to you, Kaitlin. Here, I'm trying to give the gift of a fantasy football championship, and I like Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's been like an early Christmas gift. He has been phenomenal, scoring over 57 combined fantasy points in his first two starts in the National Football League. And this week he gets who? The Dallas Cowboys, my beloved Dallas Cowboys. They've allowed an average of 19 fantasy points plus per game to quarterbacks this season. Six quarterbacks have scored over 22 fantasy points against the boys from Big D. So Jalen Hurts is suddenly thrust into the fantasy spotlight. And then Baker Mayfield. Listen, he's looked good lately. He has 11 touchdowns in his last four games. During that time, he's had 20-plus points three times, and now he faces the Jets. Now, despite what we saw last week, they're still not a good team. They've allowed 30 touchdown passes and the third most fantasy points to quarterbacks. So Baker Mayfield is on the starting radar.
I like that. He has been looking good. Well, two more quarterbacks on your list are Tom Brady versus the Lions and Tua Tagovailoa versus the Raiders. But let's talk about the QBs that fantasy managers should stay away from, Fabs.
And Cam Newton is certainly on this list. There's been talk that maybe Jarrett Stidham gets the start for the Patriots. But assuming Cam goes on Monday night, well, you're going to sit him. I mean, his numbers have been terrible. He's failed to score 13 fantasy points in three of his last four games. And quarterbacks have averaged the 16th most in quotes points versus the Bills since week 9. So it's not a great matchup. Cam Newton needs to be on the bench. And Matt Ryan, he had a really good game last week. I was somewhat surprised at that. Had nearly 28 fantasy points, but it was his best game in over a month. And he's also struggled on the road, scoring fewer than 18 fantasy points in 4 of 6 road contests. So unless Julio Jones can return, I'd probably keep Matt Ryan on the bench. I mean, he has been on the naughty list most of the season, Caitlin.
He sure has. All right. Well, other QBs that are on the naughty list this week are Phillip Rivers and Kirk Cousins. Fabs, thank you so much for your insight. For more fantasy strategy and advice for your championships, make sure to go to si.com/fantasy and good luck in your matchups.